Hello, I'm David Hunt, and welcome to The Art Hunter. We're throwing everything in the air today. I'm not going to throw this away because it's my security blanket, because I only usually do a one-on-one interview. Today I have 6 queens in my studio, and you'll find out why in a minute. Okay, here we go. Here's the intro. Cheeky, very clever, full of fun, pop-fueled musical. It's so topical, and it's also resonates with contemporary audiences. Telling her story, Six the musical remixes the history of the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Yep, that's what it's all about. Book, lyrics and music is by Toby, Marlow and Lucy Moss, who first staged the show at Edinburgh Fringe Festival at the age of 23. Extraordinary. I would love to meet them one day. Now playing around the world, it has just won 2 Tony Awards on Broadway, and the Age newspaper here in Melbourne has just given it a 5-star review. Yes, 6 Wives of Henry VIII is just amazing. And now let's meet the queens. The first 2 queens, we're doing it 2 by 2 because I don't want to spoil their moment in the sun. So let's meet the first 2 queens.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Jackson Mendoza and I play Catherine of Aragon.
Hi, I'm Gare and I play Anne Boleyn.
Right. So tell us, how did it all start for you? You know, like in the world of theatre.
I grew up in the dressing rooms. My parents met both working in theatre, so there was really no choice for me but to get involved in the stage world.
Normally you want to get away from what your parents influence you, don't you?
Yeah, and I did do that for a second. I studied like accounting and law, and then I realised the numbers weren't for me.
Oh, boom, boom. And so what did you do then?
I then went to VCA and I did the foundational course, which was kind of to see if theatre was my, passion and interest, which is where I met Gare, although she doesn't seem to remember.
Oh, really?
Oh! It's not that I was in 3rd year.
Oh, okay.
Phoenix was in foundation.
I roast her for this all the time.
I'm really sad about it.
But yes, that's when I realised I do in fact love musical theatre so much, and had to be a part of it. Right.
And how did this role come along for you? Did you just go to the audition, and it would have been pretty tough to get into?
Well, the first time round, because this show was here in 2020 before COVID, I was working on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at the time, so I remember this cast being announced and being like, oh my gosh, what an amazing show, like I wish I could have auditioned for it. And then fate happened, COVID happened, and Chloe Zool didn't come back. She was off doing Hamilton, and I had the opportunity to audition, which was just really lucky for me, and I joined the cast.
Right. Come on, your story. You obviously wanted to do theatre because you were studying.
Yes. Well, similarly, my parents were performers as well, but they were, and they're very also cute. They met at VCA.
Oh.
I know. It's
wholesome.
So cute.
Yeah. Sickly in parts.
Yeah. But back when VCA has obviously changed, but there's one theatre that we all perform at GST that was there when they were there, and so they've performed in that, which is very cool. But they are opera singers, and so I grew up. My mum's also a singing teacher. My dad, piano, taught me a little bit. My mum taught me singing predominantly though, and that was hard, but really, really good, because it also meant that she didn't really put me in a box in any way. It was like, as I was growing up, if it started to get a little bit unsafe, she'd just be like, hey, come back to something less unsafe. But I didn't want to do opera.
No.
I was very much like, I want to yell, and what is this belt thing? I want to do that. And it's funny though, because legit music theatre, which is the more sort of classical sounding, is what I have more of my foundation in, but I love what the more contemporary styles, which is probably also because I didn't want to do that stuff.
Of course. Well, you had to rebel a bit.
Rebel, But I never had this is what I want to do. It was always just sort of something innately, probably also being the child of performers, getting all that validation and love from a teeny age for like singing and dancing. You're like, oh, people like this? I'll do more. Yeah.
And what else have you starred in?
Hey,
you're the star
I've seen
all
you,
the way
Rachel.
through.
I've seen you before.
Oh my God, what am I did, I actually, in the other theatre here, I starred in 50 Shades of Grey, the musical.
Oh, wow.
Which is something I really don't talk about.
Why not?
Because, it was a parody of the movie, which was what it was. But I think the show that I've played Maureen in Rent, which I loved, but I think the show that, but the show that I have the most outside of Six, I played a character called Alice in Bright Star, which is a musical by Steve Martin and Edie Brickell. And that is such a beautiful
banjo playing.
Yeah, it's all bluegrass, southern style. It's beautiful, beautiful show.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So just quickly, well, what does this mean being part of Six, the musical?
I'm just so proud to be a part of this show.
You should be.
Yeah.
Because all six of you are just awesome.
It's a phenomenal message as well, you know.
Yep.
It's just, great to be able to give it to audiences here in Melbourne now too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's all?
Well, no, I completely agree. And I feel like there is something really special to when you're doing something for such a long time I never lose faith in the show is like, I guess what I'm trying to say in terms of like coming back at it and coming to the message and reconnecting to the message is something that never gets old, and it will always reconnect me back into joy and like alignment and sharing it, because we're doing it like 8, sometimes 9 times a week, which it's a really interesting thing and something we didn't really get taught at uni of how to like keep things fresh when you're doing it so often. But this show, I really, really find that it has magic written into it, it just is so powerful in its essence, and that totally can bring me out of any sort of place.
There's not many shows I feel like I could do forever, but this one I'm like, I could just let the years roll on and do it.
Doesn't the audience, make you want to keep going?
Absolutely.
When I went to see it the other night,
the
audience were just loving every moment. And I was looking around, everyone had a smile on their face, the happiness of everyone coming out, like the girl power show.
Yes.
It sparks the joy. It really does.
It's just got so much like joy at its heart and empowerment of everybody. And I think also because like we've spoke about this a lot, but that it's not like any show that you've seen before. And it just is so, you walk out of there, especially people that maybe don't see theatre or people that have an idea of what theatre is, you come out and it's just, you maybe don't even know why, but you feel lighter. And the literal like, the lighting, it's like a smack in the face, and the sound, everything. Like it's
all
physical,
the elements.
Come out, your hair's out here. You're like, whoa,
Brilliant.
So
well, we're going to talk to 2 more of the queens now, and I hear they've got stories about you. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
They better not.
We're 6. Whoa, whoa, we're 6. Whoa, we're 6. Whoa, whoa, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more minute.
Now let's meet 2 more of the beautiful queens.
Hello, my name is Loren Hunter and I play Jane Seymour.
Oh wow, Jane Seymour. Is that the most famous one, do you reckon? The name of the...
I think that Anne Boleyn probably...
Oh, Anne Boleyn, yeah.
But they do say that Jane Seymour is the one he truly loved.
Hey.
She talks about that in the show as well.
She does, and I knew that. That's why I threw it in. Hey.
You set me up.
I set you up.
I'm Kiana Daniele and I play Anne of Cleves.
Again, one of the names that we know so well.
Did we?
Well,
we know her as the ugly one. She's got a story.
Oh, that's right.
But a lot of the time, if I say I'm playing Cleves, they go, is that the second one? And I go, no. No. But yeah, she's a vibe.
Really funny. Your song is hysterical. So give us your background.
Okay, so I just kind of fell into performing arts. I didn't everyone like asks whether you had like a story of like a moment, but honestly it was just like, I'm kind of good at this stuff, so I'm just gonna follow that. But I went to VCA and studied with Carla, who plays Anne Boleyn.
Right.
And Phoenix as well, Aragon. And just sort of was naturally kind of involved in the arts, and it felt right. And then graduated, did Boy from Oz with Loren and Phoenix, and just wasn't until maybe like a year or so after I graduated, 2 years, we fell into Six, and here we are.
Here we are. You're now a queen. You're now a queen. The queens. For a gay man, saying queens, immediately think of a drag queen.
I mean, we're not that. But,
no, you're not that.
How did I start? I think I just was always singing in the living room, just always had a lot of energy.
So the show off of the household.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that there were anyone there. I was just singing all the time.
She sings around the dressing room too, but it's not an ego thing. It's just she's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling. But I think my parents, because I had a lot of energy, my parents were like, we need to send her somewhere to just exert some of this energy. Yeah, get rid of it. So I went to this little place called Fame Theatre in Brisbane, that's where I'm from. Yeah. And did that up until I finished high school. So I was there from like 8 till 18, and then went off to Whopper and did the musical theatre.
Perth?
Yes, over in Perth. And that was about 10 years ago now, and sort of been working sporadically ever since.
Right.
Working constantly.
And you know what's it like? You know, like you were few through college, and now other shows as well. Boy from Oz. What is it? A real family? Is the musical theatre world a bit of a family where you duck in and out of people's lives?
Yeah, I think it is quite transient. But it is a family. But I'd also say it is a community of people. All striving for the same thing, I guess, or whatever sort of floats your boat. But
you do sort of run into the same sort of faces at auditions and stuff like that. And when you're cast in shows with people that you know, it is very exciting. Yeah. Although I had to convince Loren that I was in Six the musical the first time around.
I knew this story would come up. I knew it. I just knew it.
We were told not to talk about it, but because I knew Loren, I messaged her and I was like, we're doing a show together. And I wasn't at the final auditions until everyone had left, because I had to come later. And she didn't reply to me for hours. And I was like, wow, she's really playing hard to get.
Bear in mind, David, we do have to sign something that says, don't,
we were both in it though. And then finally she replied, and she was like, you weren't there. And
I didn't see you.
But I was like, I got it, and so did you, and I know that she did, and eventually it was fine.
But that's a funny story. That will get repeated many times.
Yeah, it does.
Now, tell me, what are these jackets you've got on with a crown?
Yes.
Has that got something to do with the show?
I mean,
well, these are our publicity jackets. Yes. So we all have one.
Wow.
And we all have our initials on them.
And the band has jackets too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and then we've got our character
Cleves,
on
and
the
then our initials.
And what's on the back?
I believe it's 6. Yeah,
6.
it just says
our little logo.
But
we'll get a shot. We'll get a shot of it at the end of the show. We've got to see it. It's so cool. When I saw you out the front, and I just saw one little crown and went, oh, you've even got a jacket. And then everyone went, well, so have we.
We've all got one.
We're not allowed to take them home, though.
Oh.
But we wear them a lot, and it's
like
cool.
Burn a hole in it or something and say, oh, this one's no good
this one's
anymore.
faulty. I definitely won't do that.
What's actually quite funny is that the brand of this jacket is a place that I used to work at when I was auditioning for this show, which is a weird thing to say.
That is kind of
weird.
weird.
And then now, it's very strange.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how were you presented with the jackets?
We were in rehearsal, and Lucy Moss came in. It's all on a video as well. It's such a cute video. She walks in, and all the jackets are on like a little rail, and you can just see all of our faces like they're just like little kids.
Yeah.
It's a really special thing, isn't it? You know, like that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see it very often, do you? So, you know, that
The jackets, you mean?
like shows don't have a jacket.
Absolutely.
But that's the wonderful thing about it. It's so special, this show, that it needs to, like sort of, go girls, we need a jacket.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's such a special show.
Okay, thank you so much for chatting with us. Let's meet another two of the queens.
Yes, you must.
And tonight, we are live! Listen up, let me tell you a story.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Dawson and I play Catherine Howard.
And I'm Vidya Makan and I play Catherine Parr.
Oh.
Two Cathys.
Two, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you only just realised.
There's 3 Catherines in the show,
Yeah,
but
there is.
we're the lucky
Well, you
two.
see, you've got to remember, but back then there weren't as many names
No.
around. So people all shared same
Well,
names.
Catherine Parr was actually named after Catherine of Aragon because I think she was her godmother, or they were very close.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah.
You know a bit of history as well.
I'm a bit of a nerd about it.
Did you know much about the 6 wives of Henry VIII before?
Not too much.
No, I knew about the show before.
No, the actual
But like I
real-
didn't know anything about the queens. I don't know if I knew about Henry either.
Right.
It's a bit naughty.
No, it's not. It's just that, like some people know about history, other people don't.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think, the primary school or Australian high school taught.
What that? Hey, I'm glad they didn't. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
My
shouldn't.
mum actually taught me about Henry VIII because she was trying to teach me how chromosomes work for my biology assignment.
Yeah.
She was teaching me about this king who really wanted a son, but the gender of a child is determined by, the sperm, the
I
X
love
or Y
that.
from the male,
Yeah.
Anyway. And so when she was explaining how that works, she was like, it was so ironic that this king who really wanted a son and kept getting rid of his wives, it was actually technically his fault.
It's his fault.
His fault,
Yep.
his contribution.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's how I learnt about chromosomes.
Hey. A history lesson, people, a history lesson. All right, well, tell us your background.
I started off as a musician, so I've been playing piano from the time I was 3. I actually learnt to read music before I learnt to read English.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But my dream was always to be in the orchestra pit. I was like, one day I'm going to be in the orchestra pit for a big musical. But I was also a soccer player, so that was the 2 things that I was obsessed with.
Yeah.
And then when I was 15, I was on this soccer camp in England, and we'd always seen musicals because my family are somehow theatre obsessed. And I don't know, something about seeing Wicked at the back row on the West End just got under my skin, and I came back home and I was like, I think I'm done with soccer, and I think I want to be in the limelight now. It was I did the school musical and then got into uni, and the rest was history.
Right. What have you been in apart from 6?
A bunch of independent shows when
Brilliant.
I first graduated, but I think my favourite role aside from 6 was I got to play Dot in a Sunday in the Park. No, a Sunday in the Park with George. Sunday in the Park with George.
What a beautiful,
Yeah.
oh gosh, it's,
Yeah,
I love it. And the fact is, it's about a painting.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
just so, and they bring it to life. Well, I'm telling you, you were in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, singing Stephen Sondheim is a dream.
Oh, what
Yeah.
a dream.
Wow, what a dream. Now, you want to be the whole band. So,
Oh my
what's your
gosh.
background?
I just want to be everything. No, but my background started a bit interesting. I kind of grew up, loving musical theatre, but it was just kind of something we would go to with the family. Nothing, I did dancing as a little kid.
Right.
I kind of missed out on all of the child roles in the big musicals. I think there was Annie that came past, Mary Poppins, and I was too old, too tall. But I always wanted to do it. Anyway, it was at the end of high school, I think I convinced my mum. I was like, nah, I'm dropping graphics design and I want to do this. I seriously want to get into uni. I want to be a part of this. And lucky enough, I had amazing mentors to get me through. Went to the Queensland Conservatorium, Griffith University.
We both did.
Hey!
But we missed each other.
Yeah.
And then I studied for 3 years, and in 2020, I was a COVID uni grad, so that was a bit interesting doing musical theatre online. But auditioned for 6 the second time round because Courtney Monsma was in Frozen the musical, and was going to join the gals in 2020, but then COVID happened, so had to wait 2 years, and then was able to join this amazing company.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now there is a shit hot band behind you queens.
Stunning.
Tell us, how many are in the band, and are they all a particular sex?
Yeah, we have a all female / non-binary identifying band. We have our 4 on stage, so our keys player, guitar, bass and drums, but we also have an assistant MD who also plays the keys. So
but also plays bass and drums. Yes. We've had Heidi Maguire go on for multiple instruments. She is very talented.
They're all
all incredible
musicians.
Yes.
And it really adds to the show, doesn't it, having the band right there. You know, like just a couple of steps up from you.
And they're fully a part of the show because they are the ladies in waiting. So they're based off historical people as well. And they are not only playing the instruments but acting alongside with us, dancing. They have their own choreography.
As we've progressed with the show as well, and they've gotten more comfortable on stage, all of them have their kind of characters that they play as well. And so the acting choices, if you come and see 6, come for the show and for the queens and for what we're doing. But when you can, look at the band, because they're making definitely full thought out choices.
And they have their own opinions and relationships. I know our bass player, they are... Their historical queen that they played, Bessie, used to be very close with Anna of Cleves. So the relationship that Jess and Kiana have on stage, they would play around with that.
Wow.
It's just...
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's just a couple of little touches that I really picked up on. When you're not using the microphones, I actually thought to myself, how are they doing? Clapping or whatever. And then it took me a while to work it out that you've all got a little... holder for it, sort of like a little a pouch that it slips into.
I always feel like, when you watch those historical movies and you see knights with their swords, it's my tool and my weapon. That's how I kind of feel.
Hey, it is.
Yeah. I love that, and I've never thought of that. That is amazing. Yeah. I'm definitely thinking of that next time.
Yeah, but it's a whole thing.
Out and going,
let me fight you, and with my voice.
The costumes as well is just basically plastic. So sometimes it can get a little bit caught, and you've got to try and fight to get the mic out. But
how good are the costumes?
They're incredible.
Incredible.
They're a star in their own right as well. Just won
Tony Award winning.
Tony Award, yes, for the costumes, and rightly so. They're brilliant, as you can see them all around us. And the other thing I've got to talk about is the shoes. They really stood out for me. Because you could tell that they're very funky, they're very now, wedged heel, but they look safe, where a lot of stage shoes you think, how are they coping with it? Because you don't stop moving the whole time, do you?
No, they're our babies, truly.
Yeah. We get so looked after, they could have gotten some cheapy old things, but we've got these incredible boots that are the Duca, which if you're a dancer, is kind of the brand.
The brand of dance shoes, for the Ducas, you would fly to New York to get sized up to have your own pair of the Ducas.
So they are so supportive. They're more comfy than my sneakers.
Yeah,
wow.
Truly. And they're hand bedazzled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So do they fall off? No.
Sometimes. Depends how hard we're dancing.
Yeah. It's funny when you're dancing and then you kind of feel a little bit of a bedazzle gem under your shoe and you've got to try and find a time to just brush
a really
it off.
fun thing, in live theatre, it's if there's something that needs to happen on stage, you're how am I going to make this work in the show?
Yeah.
And I'm always I've got a bedazzle on my shoe. Okay, in this moment, I'm going to smile and say my line, but the audience isn't going to know that I'm actually grabbing a thing from the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah.
Because you're on stage
we never
the
leave.
whole time.
Yes.
You must be exhausted at the end of it.
Exhausted and
exhilarated.
it's a weird mix between the two.
Yep.
I think the show is so fulfilling energetically, and what we give to the audience always gives back to us. So we leave as much as we're tired and sweating, it's also I could do that again. Do you want to do that again?
Well, I mean, maybe.
maybe the
I'll go
next
home
day.
after double show day and have a nap.
All right, I'm going to bring the other queens back and we'll just have a round up. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
We're six.
So thank you so much for all being here together. 6 queens in one room. Hey, look at you. As I said to you before, the show's amazing. You should be also proud of yourself. Like, the fact is you're going on, you're travelling with it.
Yeah.
It's all happening. So what's it like being part of 6 and the band as well? So the cast is about 15 people?
We've actually got three phenomenal swingers.
Incredible.
Right, yeah, of
So
course you would.
just
Yes.
Incredibly talented.
Yeah. Okay, so what's it like? How do you look at yourselves as 6 people? Or do you think you're going to have to step away from it and think about this in a year's time or 2 years' time? Or do you have an opinion now?
You mentioned it before about, I think it was more on the theatre community, but this to me really does feel like a family. It's such a joy to come into work all the time, and I feel like you're obviously not my colleagues, you're my friends, and I speak to you more than I do people in my actual family, you know?
Yeah. and the sheer fact that, you're seeing each other pretty much every day, aren't you? And you're sweating together.
We do a lot of that together.
lot of that.
I think also there's this, there are our faces on the side of the comedy theatre at the minute, so you've just got the 6 shots. And I do look up at that sometimes when either I'm, coming back from a break and just go, I'm really proud of that. That's, from where we started, from how we got here, if we think about your career on a whole, even from when you were younger to here, like your younger self, be pretty proud of yourself, to get to this point.
You should be extremely proud of yourselves and proud to be part of this extraordinary show.
Incredibly, yeah.
So thank you so much. The 3 queens standing up, turn around so our audience can...
This whole thing?
this whole thing. How cool is that? That is so cool. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm David Hunt. You'll be watching The Art Hunter and we'll be back again next week.